Kevin, and I'm out in Surrey, near the Surrey Hills. And with me, I've got my friend David Gilbert, and I've known David for a long time. 30 years?
Must be, Kevin.
Must be 30 years.
Must
Louise, your daughter's 45?
Before we were white-haired, I think.
Yeah, definitely. We are on the Willinghurst Estate, and we're just coming out for a walk, and I'm going to talk to David about, he's published a book recently, and I want to find out more about how David came to write this book and where he was when he wrote it. But let me just show you around here. We're in this lovely field, and we've got clover all over there just ahead of us, but it's a lovely old oak tree. As I pan round, you see all this field, and then there's a house away up there in the distance, and David tells me that's the old house of Harry Seacombe.
Sir Harry Seacombe, yes.
Sir Harry Seacombe. And it had a lovely price tag on it, David.
Oh, it sold for a number of years ago for £5.5 million to a Scandinavian man.
There you go. So this gives you an idea of where we are. We're just coming up to a stile in a fence here, which we've got to climb over. I'll let David go first, but we've got a pond in front of us with ducks on.
Ooh, I think more of a lake.
Or a lake. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Well, there are 11 lakes. 11 lakes on this estate.
Right, okay. Yeah.
And they have very large carp in them, so you get some keen fishermen.
Yeah. Somebody over there. Fishermen.
Little fishermen waving.
Yeah.
They're obviously not bored.
That's right.
But
Yeah.
I think they're on camera.
So David, tell me, I know from the years that I've known you, I know that you worked at Surrey University.
Well, that's right. I worked at Surrey University for 30 years, Kevin.
30
so
years.
as long as we've known each other, more or less.
Yeah, that's it.
So when I moved to Hazelmere,
yeah,
that's when we first met.
It is, yeah.
You did some work for me.
That's right, exactly. First, David and Jean. Jean is David's wife. They were clients, and over the years we've become friends, which is lovely. But David, can tell everybody what your role was at Surrey University?
Oh, I did a number of things at Surrey University.
Yeah.
I went there to head up and start the master course in tourism marketing. Mm-hmm. I'd come from a company where I was a marketing manager, mm-hmm, working on tourism products, mm-hmm, and I got the job at Surrey, mm-hmm, to set up the tourism marketing degree. Mm-hmm.
And within your job, that meant you travelled a lot.
That meant I was lucky enough to travel.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to have decisions on travel.
Yeah.
So I could write a paper and target an area, mm-hmm, because I've always liked travel. So, mm-hmm, if I wanted to go to America, mm-hmm, I could target a conference in America. Of course, I had to write a paper that was acceptable. Yeah. But that meant, as you say, I was lucky enough to travel.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I know particularly there was one country that you travelled to an awful lot, and I think probably 10 years or so, and that was China.
That's right. I was going backwards and forwards to China, yeah, for 10 years, up until about 18 months ago.
Yeah, yeah. But is that when you decided, or had you had an idea that you wanted to write a book before you started going to China, or is this something that happened while you were there?
I've always been quite creative. Yeah. So I've always enjoyed anything creative, like photography, mm-hmm, art, mm-hmm, and also writing. Yeah. So when I went to China, I had time to write, mm-hmm, so I could indulge my creativity, mm-hmm, in writing a fiction book. Yep. Yep. That I'd always wanted to write. I've written 2 textbooks, mm-hmm, mm-hmm, but that's completely different, yep, to writing a fiction book.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. So you were in China, and so how was the process? How did you make the process work for writing your book? Well, obviously you were going to be busy working.
That's right.
Yeah. So how did the process go?
Right.
Become about?
To be creative, you've got to start planning. Mm-hmm. So what you do with the book is you start to think about the different sections of the book. So how will I start it? Mm-hmm. What will be in the middle, mm-hmm, and where will I end, mm-hmm, it? You don't need to know everything, mm-hmm, about what's going to be in the book, mm-hmm, but you have to have some guidelines as, yeah, to where you want the book to go. Yeah. The amazing thing about it is that when I started writing the book, I started to understand myself more, because of the writing, mm-hmm, mm-hmm, because it is your alter ego that comes out in the book. Yeah, yeah. So a very good friend of mine, the book was published just a couple of months ago, mm-hmm, But a very good friend of mine couldn't stop laughing. My friend from school couldn't stop laughing when he read the book. Why would he laugh? He laughed because he said, it's you. You are fussy.
Yeah.
You don't like mugs. You like cups and saucers. Your protagonist in the book is exactly that man. So every time I read another page, it was still you.
Yeah.
Being the person in the book.
In the book, yeah.
Who is the Western agent who goes out to China.
Yeah, yeah.
So the Western agent goes out to China.
Yeah.
He resides in a university setting. And from that setting, he is trying to solve the mystery of what's going on with experiments in relation to biowarfare, where you change DNA and then you can change somebody's DNA so a virus or a toxin will not affect that person. Now that's interesting, given what's gone on in the last 2 years.
Yes, indeed.
Kevin, it's even more interesting in the news I got this week. There's a company called BGI in China. It's associated with the military. It's funded by the military. What that company is doing all over Europe, it's looking at DNA of different people, and this DNA, although you may not think it, it's actually quite interesting and topical to think about the way you can change DNA in a person. Yeah. This is what the book's about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Did you? Tell everybody as well, David, what the name of the book is.
The book's called Eagle's Impact. Yeah. Eagle, or Jinying, which is the Chinese for golden eagle, is the code name of the experiment that's taking place in China. Yeah. So Eagle's Impact. The impact is the impact on the Western agent who goes to China, Harry Long. Yeah. Now, interestingly, as I said, my friend laughs at the book. That impact is also the impact on me. What happens to Harry Long is that Chinese culture affects him. Yeah. He changes his worldview because he understands yin-yang and other aspects of Chinese culture. Yeah. Now, yin-yang isn't understood fully by a lot of people, but it's finding your balance in life. Yeah, yeah. And I think a lot of people these days, they want to find a better balance in life. And this is what Harry Long does in the book. So the Eagle's Impact, the impact is the impact of Chinese culture on a very hardened man who changes his worldview and even questions his loyalty to Britain. Yeah, yeah. If you look now, you can see the lake. As you can see, it's not overfished. There are not too many fishermen here, but it's a beautiful place. If you scan to the left, Kevin, you can see the Christmas trees. They grow a lot of Christmas trees here. Yeah.
I noticed that actually. I drove past several fields that were full of Christmas trees.
That's right. That's right. So it's quite a beautiful area, and obviously very peaceful, very quiet. That's why the fishermen quite like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah. So getting back to the book, Kevin, I think it is a very topical story about the way that different governments are undertaking biowarfare experiments. Now, we don't hear a lot about it, and what we do know is there aren't treaties on biowarfare. There are many treaties on nuclear arms and other types of weapons, but not enough treaties on biowarfare. Yeah. So I think the book, which is in the name of David Cliff, Eagle's Impact, David Cliff, I think the book uncovers a lot of what we need to worry about in terms of what some governments may be up to.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you look down here, Kevin, you'll see these lakes go on down the valley. In the distance, we can see the Surrey Hills. So it's a very beautiful area to be in.
Yeah, it is absolutely beautiful. Yeah. There's lots of these little meadows and fields and that are about, which is lovely to see.
Should we go past the lakes this way?
Yeah, should we have a look?
It's entirely up to you.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll take you for a walk.
Yes, right.
It'll be a nice walk.
Yeah.
So, because you've not been here before.
No, that's right. Absolutely. So the book. So let's think about the book. How long did the book actually take you to write?
Okay. You need to isolate yourself and you need to have time to write a book.
Yeah, of course.
So I used to, before I did any work every day, I would go into the Pizza Hut. There was a Pizza Hut
Oh, right,
where
yeah,
I was.
yeah.
I was in Dalian, that's
Yeah.
northeast China,
Yeah.
Dongbei area, northeast China. I would go into Pizza Hut for breakfast in the morning and write for about an hour every morning. So that process took me about 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
After 2 years, I'd written the book in draft form. Now, another interesting story for you. The interesting story for you is that I tried to send back a draft of the book from
Right.
China
Yeah.
back to the UK.
Yeah.
It never arrived.
Right. Okay.
Now, if you were in China and you tried to send something back to England with the word Tiananmen Square in,
Yeah.
it wouldn't arrive.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you tried to send an email in China with the word Tiananmen Square in, it wouldn't arrive. They have AI systems,
Right.
artificial intelligence systems, that
Yeah.
search for keywords.
Yeah. Yeah.
They just delete from that keyword. Now, my book, when I sent it back, had keywords Wuhan, virus, biowarfare, bomb, agent, MI16.
Well, the
I
first-
think it probably got caught in the AI system.
Yeah, I think the very first two words you said, Wuhan and virus, that sort of sums it up, doesn't it?
So this didn't end the story.
Right.
2 days later,
Yeah.
I didn't know it hadn't arrived in the UK, by
Yeah,
the way.
yeah.
But 2 days
How,
later,
sorry, how did you try to send that?
I sent an email
An email,
with,
right,
an,
okay.
with an attachment. Right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
2 days later, my computer was hacked, and I lost a lot of data off my computer.
Right, okay.
Now, is it a coincidence or not a coincidence? What I can tell you is the official figure for China for people checking on the internet is over 1 million people. That's an official figure, so it's probably even more. Now, it's not unusual for this to happen.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, most countries monitor
Yeah, yeah.
outgoing emails,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But what was interesting for me is my computer was hacked.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a bit
Now,
of a coincidence, isn't it?
but
Within 2
yeah,
days.
it
Yeah.
was, now, this was at the. Now, let's go back to the timing. This was at the timing when China was denying that COVID had actually started in China, let alone
Yeah.
started in Wuhan.
Yeah.
And now, of course, they're not just conspiracy theories. What we tend to understand now is that virus probably came from a laboratory.
Yeah.
It may not have been Wuhan,
Yeah.
but leading scientists say it could not have mutated like it did without some help from a laboratory. Now, it may well have been a mistake by a scientist in Wuhan, in that the virus was brought out of there, not intentionally, but by accident.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The evidence of this is there are a lot of people in Wuhan who had never been to the market who developed COVID.
Yeah.
There's a lot of evidence to say it probably came from a laboratory.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Interestingly, my book,
Yeah.
which I didn't know all this would happen,
No, of course.
was written
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
COVID broke out
Yeah.
in the way it did.
Yeah.
This is what I think is interesting.
Well, it's the Big Brother theory, isn't it? And it's what's going on, who's watching who.
That's right.
You're
absolutely right.
It's all this sort of thing, and as you say, you've got keywords in your book, and within 2 days,
somebody was interested in what was in that book.
Yeah.
If you look here, you've got some ducks.
Yep.
I have seen the Canadian geese here. They don't seem to be here today. Yeah. Given the temperature in Canada at the moment, Kevin, it's probably a nice place to be.
Exactly.
Given what's going on in America and Canada.
Yeah.
And so we've got the mallards, the coots. Yeah. We've got a number of ducks here.
Yeah, there's one Egyptian goose there.
Okay, well that's a bit of expertise for me.
Yeah, that's the one with the white tail. That's an Egyptian goose.
Thank you for that.
I knew I'd be able to teach you something today. Not a lot,
but you can start if you pan around. You can start to see the number of lakes that are here.
Gosh, yeah.
The choice that the fishermen have is, what lake shall I fish on today?
Yeah.
Out of 11 lakes.
And they're all carp lakes, aren't they?
They're all very large carp as well.
Yeah.
It's seen to be a specialist fishing area for carp.
Wow. I've never seen a setup like this with so many lakes in one area.
Well, I was here last weekend, and there was a girl. She was probably 9 years old, and she'd caught her first ever large carp.
Really?
And I have to say to you, I was a fisherman when I was younger,
Yeah.
and it was larger than anything I'd ever caught in my whole life.
Wow. So which way do we go now?
It's entirely up to you. We can go this way because there's another lake over here. See?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah,
So
let's do that.
yeah,
Let's do that.
we you may as well get the beauty of the place.
Absolutely, yeah, it's brilliant. Well, I love walking in the countryside anyway. But so tell me, going back to your book,
Yes.
it didn't arrive in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you get your book out of China?
Well, of course, I had backup
Yep.
USBs.
Luckily. Yeah, absolutely.
I had to add some more data,
Yeah.
more writing, a little bit more writing. Of course, then I came back to the UK with it.
Yeah.
And all books are in draft form. So one of the hardest things to do is to actually cut out what you don't think you need in the book to make sure everything in that book is of interest, that the book flows. I mean, it's a thriller. So a thriller has to have certain sections that show from the protagonist's point of view, the way he deals with the mystery, the way he follows up clues, and the way he has to deal with some of the problems that he faces. So in China, of course, within the book, there's the problem that the British government understand that because of the spikes in communication, there's something going on.
Yeah.
2 students have died, but there's so much communication going on between key different departments, the military, technology, something must have happened.
Yeah, of course.
So that's why the British are interested. Of course, most countries are also monitoring communication within other countries. So of course the Russians and other countries will know this as well.
Yeah.
So of course he has to deal with the Chinese, the Russians, the British, as part of the whole plot. So you've got to make sure that it's paced, and there's some action, there's some interest, there's some mystery, there's some clues.
Yeah, of course.
And there's some interesting characters.
Yeah.
Now, when you're a writer, if people haven't written, you're acting as God.
Right.
You're actually creating people that you like or dislike, and you're trying to round that character as much as you can to create that feeling in somebody, emotion in somebody about that individual.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I've read a lot of books, and the trouble with a lot of books, for me, they read like a diary.
Yeah.
Not a lot happens in them. You know, the story churns out like a diary. I wanted to write a book where there's a lot of action, a lot of mystery. So, with a lot of agents within books, Western agents, they're not very moral.
Yeah.
Now, this agent is moral.
Yeah.
He meets somebody called Wong, and he knows he's only being in China for a short while.
Yeah.
So what he doesn't want, because they obviously like each other, he doesn't want a relationship to form where he knows he's going back to the UK.
Yeah.
So he's also quite moral. So there's this unrequited love. We'll go this way, I think, Kevin.
Okay.
There's this unrequited love that takes place. So there's a tension of that as well. You know they really like each other.
Yeah.
But he's controlling himself.
Yeah.
And what he's trying to do is find balance in life from all the experiences he has. He meets Wong, and she talks to him a lot about her parents, Chinese culture, and that's where he starts to learn more about himself while doing that.
Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah. So with the relationship that he's formed with her, does that go through the whole sequence of the book, or do they end up together, or do they?
Well,
or are we giving too much away about the book?
Well, it's not really a spoiler to tell you. At one stage in the book, she saves his life. Not really a spoiler.
Okay. Yeah.
She saves his life, and then she starts to realise he's not just a normal teacher in a university.
Yeah.
So she's a very strong character.
Yeah.
She wants to know what's going on.
Yeah, of course.
He doesn't want to tell her.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
without being, giving you too much of a spoiler,
Yeah.
this is where he's really under pressure from Wong.
Yeah.
For her to find out what on earth is going on,
Yeah.
because she knows there's these 2 student deaths that take place as part of this military experiment.
Yeah.
She knows these 2 students really well, so she cares about the students.
Yeah.
She cares so much. She wants to know what on earth is going on. What the hell are you up to here? And that's the pressure he gets. Now he has to deal with this as well. But they have other times together. They go to a park, Labour Park, which is in Dalian. Many of the places that are in the book are actually in Dalian,
Right.
which is in China.
Yeah, yeah.
Because obviously, after 10 years going backwards and forwards, I know many of the places.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
So
yeah.
they go to the park. They go to Tiger Beach.
Yeah,
Now at Tiger Beach, he really has trouble controlling his emotion.
yeah.
I won't give too many spoilers.
No. So you we already know that the book has been published.
Yes, book has been published.
And I've got a copy of it.
Oh,
in
have
fact,
you?
In fact, I've got 2 copies of it. I ordered one and got 2.
Brilliant.
So I've got one. I've actually passed one on to Cynthia.
Okay.
And I meant to have brought it with me today so I could get you to sign it for me.
No
But
trouble. No trouble.
I completely forgot it.
I'll tell you a story about the book then,
Yeah.
and books. As you probably know, independent bookshops have been under a lot of pressure
Yeah.
from Amazon, and not only Amazon, but
Yeah.
supermarkets. I
Yes.
mean, supermarkets are selling David Williams' book.
Yeah.
They're selling other books in there, cut price. Amazon sell at cut price.
Yeah.
That means we've lost a lot of the independent bookshops.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
So what's happening is some authors are becoming like brands.
Yeah.
So publishers only push certain authors.
Yes, of course.
Now in America, I don't know the figures for this country, but you could scale them down. In America, there's 90,000 books published there each year. 90,000.
Wow, blimey. That
If you
is
take a bookshop like Waterstones,
Yeah.
they only stock the top-selling books, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So there's little chance of my book actually being in Waterstones
Yeah, of course.
with the number of books that are published.
Yeah.
Also, just take last year, books like Hamnet, they filled up the window of Waterstones. Why? Probably because the publisher pays some money
Yeah.
to have that window filled up.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so what's happened? I went into Waterstones in Guildford and I spoke to the manager.
Yeah.
And I asked, how does somebody get to be one of your top 100 books
Yeah.
that you have in store?
Yeah.
And he said, it's mainly by luck.
Oh, right.
Oh, it's because it's been recommended.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said, well, what can I do?
Yeah.
The manager was wonderful.
Yeah.
And she said, bring your book in and I'll read it.
Yeah.
And if I like it,
Yeah.
we'll stock it.
Oh, right.
And if I really like it, I'll tell Waterstones head office, stock it in all Waterstones. So I actually took that book in, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I've sent the book off to Judy and Richard
Yeah.
because they have with W.H. Smith,
Yeah.
they have summer, spring, autumn books.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So hopefully, she likes Lee Child. She likes, in Lee Child, there's somebody called Jack Reacher. She loves Jack Reacher.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, Harry Long in my book, he's similar to Jack Reacher.
Right.
But I think my book has a richer text. I think it's a fuller type of story. So that's why I sent it to her, because I know she likes Lee
Yeah,
Child.
yeah, yeah.
So hopefully I'll get on that list.
Yeah, absolutely.
One other thing that's happened is you need to send your books to people you think may adopt them.
Yeah, of course.
So I've also been in touch with independent bookstores. There aren't many. I found out one woman in Cobham, and I said, I'm a local author, and she said, it's absolutely brutal, this marketplace for us. It's absolutely brutal. We'll read your book and we'll see if we will stock it. I said,
Yeah.
okay, fine.
Yeah.
So because my book is on sale or return, they can order the books, and if it doesn't sell,
So
they don't have to pay for them.
Yeah, of course.
So this is what you have to do as an author. It's a difficult time.
Yeah.
But the book is topical. In fact, it's very topical.
Absolutely, at the moment.
It's got, you've read it, you haven't said anything about it yet, so I don't know if you've read it or haven't started it yet.
Yeah.
But it's a page turner.
Yeah.
It moves, it's a thriller.
I've delved into it.
Yes.
And I'm not a prolific reader by any means, but I've delved into little bits of it, and what I've read, I've really liked.
Yes.
And for someone that's not a book reader,
Yes.
it sort of grabs you.
Yeah. A number of people have given me feedbacks. A number of people have read it, and what they've said is it's an easy read. The chapters aren't too long.
Yeah.
It moves at quite a pace. They can follow it. There's a lot on Chinese culture they didn't know,
Yeah.
and what happens to people in China,
Yeah.
because it's for many people, it's a hidden culture.
Yeah.
They don't realise what the Chinese are actually like.
Yeah,
So it's an interesting one.
But I do know that there's a reason for, well, not a reason, you are selling the book, but you're not making any money out of this, but you're using the money for a specific purpose.
That's right.
And so for us to get to the end of this part of the story, can you tell everybody what the money's going towards?
Well, I've got grandchildren, so what I'd like to have for the royalties, as an author you don't get a lot of money for royalties, what I'd like as the royalties is for the money to go to the grandchildren. Now I've got one granddaughter who's a figure skater.
Yeah.
Not just a figure skater, but probably one of the best figure skaters in the country for age.
She's
only
good.
13.
Yeah.
And what I'd like to do is help fund her as well as the other grandchildren. So when the royalties come in, hopefully I can pass the not for me, that's to be passed on.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. Okay, well I think, you know, David's given us a rich idea of what his book's like. So from Kevin and David, we'll say bye-bye and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.